Hi there. Are you hoping that your business is going to make you feel happy or perhaps peaceful or perhaps content in some way? I'm here to tell you that your business does not have that capacity, and you're giving your business a little bit too much responsibility for your well-being if you're saying, when I get X, I will feel Y. Some examples of that in our business might be, well, when I've got enough clients, or when I'm earning enough money, or when I've reached my goals, whatever they might be. And there's nothing wrong with goals. But if we're saying, when I get there, I'm going to feel better. I'm going to feel better about myself, perhaps. I think that's what I chased in my business, yes, but probably even more so in my career in education, where I was endlessly looking for something outside of me. I probably wouldn't have said it back then. I probably would have said that I was just following a career path. That's what everybody does, don't they? They get on a career path and they aim to get to the top of the ladder. When I got to the top of that ladder, there was nothing there. There really wasn't. There really wasn't suddenly a sense of fulfillment, a feeling of peace, a sense of feeling good enough. None of it was there. None of it was there at the top of the ladder. There was just emptiness. From that place of feeling empty, I then went looking for my well-being in the outside world, in other things other than my employment, other than my career, like, online dating and salsa dancing and going out a lot. As a recently single woman in her early 40s, goodness, did I have a ball? I really did. But there was just this continual feeling of seeking. I then did take that into the first business that I started when I resigned after the period of being very, very sick from burnout. I finally had to jack it in and started my first business as a hypnotherapist back then. And again, there was still this undercurrent of seeking. If I could just get all these things done on my list today, I'll feel better. What if I could just get, this number of clients? What if I just did enough networking? It was just endless pressure, an endless giving away of my well-being to something out there. If I could just, I'll feel better. If I could just, it was that all the time. Now, why doesn't that work? You might be wondering, and maybe you've experienced this. Maybe you said that to yourself. Well, if I can just get my business to this position, then I'll be able to perhaps rest a little more, or go for a walk each day, or look after myself better. That's what it can seem like, doesn't it? It's not really working, is it? You might have noticed. It took me a long time to realise that that was never going to work. And there's a few reasons why. The first reason is because, and this is the part when I generally get quite emotional to tell you that feeling that you're looking for isn't out there. That feeling that you're looking for is in here. It's the essence of who you truly are, which you can see when you don't have quite so much on your mind. You might have noticed those times. Those times when suddenly your business just seems like a great thing to do and you're actually enjoying the journey and you're present and you're in that flow state. And then there's moments there, aren't there, when it doesn't really matter how your business is doing. You just are enjoying the journey. Maybe you've had moments like that. I'd love to hear about them if you have. But often they can seem quite fleeting, because then it's on to the next thing and on to what do I need to do next to make my business be how I want it to be, and to chase that feeling of peace, perhaps, let's call it that, in the outside world, in my business. So that's the first thing, is that it's not out there. It's just not out there. And the second thing that comes to mind on this subject is what I learned from the lovely Clare Downham, which is a thing called an unachievable want. So let's just say we've got that mantra playing in our heads, when I get to a certain position in my business, I'll feel better in some way. But the problem is that as you go on your journey to grow your business, you will butt up against discomfort. You'll butt up against the opposite of peace, trust me, because as you go to share your authentic message, your inner critic will say, no, don't be doing that. And you'll feel fear. You won't feel confident. You'll feel like you don't want to say that. You feel that resistance, and maybe just call it resistance, like tension in the body and tightness, because as you think about moving forward in your business and doing those things, the activities that are going to help you grow your business, which might be showing up like this to create content that other people are going to digest and judge, because that's what's in our head all the time, isn't it? So if we're saying, when I have this position in my business nailed, I will feel at peace. As we set off towards the journey of getting that thing nailed, we butt up against things that are not a feeling of peace. So we withdraw, because it's like, well, I want to feel peace, but I don't really want to not feel peace on the way to get to peace. But of course, peace isn't anywhere out there. When I talk about the well-run, good-feeling business, this is what I'm talking about. How do we start from the good feeling? Well, I guess fundamentally by knowing those two things, that your feeling of well-being is in here. It's all your feelings are generated from within, not from without. And then seeing that on the journey to get to some place in the future, you're going to continually come up against resistance, because in order to grow a business, you have to kind of grow yourself. Not maybe you don't grow yourself, maybe you shed a whole lot of nonsense that you've learned as you've been growing up about what you're not able to do and what you're not okay at and all that kind of stuff. Maybe it's more that, maybe there's a falling away, but that has to happen. And as we move into this good feeling more of the time, we're still, when we connect to our intuition and we connect to feeling like we're a bit more guided with our own ideas and not, following what everybody else is telling us to do. And, I've had my own experience, so many experiences of that, of trying to get my business fixed, buying things. And, unfortunately, a very recent experience where I signed up with a coach who then turned out to not be a coach and to try to give me business instruction. But luckily, right now, I've got into such a good place with connecting to my own sense of direction a bit more, that I saw that much more quickly than I would have done in the past. I would have carried on that journey in the past, and I had no intention of doing so. And that was, I felt so empowered by saying no to somebody else telling me what to do in my business. As we really step into creating our business from a place where we want to create it, there will be some resistance there. There will be. There will be. So expect that resistance, and know that it's okay. Dominic Scafidi, great teacher, calls it the predictable BS. You are going to butt up against yourself. You're not going to feel at peace while you're growing a business. There's going to be some resistance there, because you're, as I say, you're shedding all this old stuff that you used to believe about yourself. And that's the truth of where peace is, really. And I think taking action in a business is one of the most powerful forms of, I don't really like self-development in inverted commas. It's one of the most of maybe forms of self-actualization. It is, if you've got a message and something you feel passionate about and you want to share with the world, the journey you go through to get yourself sharing is it's profound. It really is. It is profound. I've seen that for myself through, being able to do this now, whether, I'm not sure where you're listening to this, but the original content here was recorded live. Some of you may be watching it live, and then I pop it all over different platforms. But that didn't used to be a thing that I thought I could do. Speak to your own face for 10 minutes, it turns out, is a thing to do, which is very odd. But, I do a lot of this live content, and I love it now. I just love the opportunity to talk to you about things that I think are going to be helpful. So I do that here on Insight Timer, all over the place. So my invitation, I suppose, this week is to realize that we're not going to find peace in our business out. We're not going to find it by doing more and more and more stuff and not looking after ourselves and not resting and just driving harder and harder and harder, as if that feeling of well-being is going to materialize somewhere in the future. But maybe we can start and connect to peace now. And on that note, I did make a little course, End the Search to Peace and Connect to It Now, on Insight Timer. That course came out on Friday, I think, or over the weekend sometime. So that's available now if you want to check that out. Just go to my Insight Timer profile and you'll be able to find the course there, or I'll drop a link somewhere around the place. Yeah, it's not out there, peace. It's here. And it's not going to be found in your business in the future somewhere. Start from the good feeling. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Clare Downham from the Well Run Good Feeling Business, business mentor, life coach. Whatever you've got going on, if some things resonate today, why not drop me a message and we can arrange a time to talk. Take care. Lots of love. Bye.